Hello and welcome. I'm Joey with ITG Diet. I'm one of the coaches here, and I'm going to show you a way of being able to basically make up some salads and keep them in your fridge for a little bit longer, and it's step 1 compliant. What I have here is I have a mason jar, and this is what I'll be putting the contents of the salad in. And of course I have some chopped up romaine, could be lettuce, spinach, whatever you want to use as your green for the salad. Chop that up, go ahead and get a protein source. Generally when I was on the plan I used chicken or shrimp. Right here I just have some hard-boiled eggs I cut up, just for example. I have the dressing here, some Caesar dressing from Walden Farms. Of course you can use it on the plan. So how this works, guys, is the first thing you want to start with on the bottom of the jar is the dressing. So we'll go ahead and pour that in. I like a lot of dressing, so we're going to make sure we get every bit of this out of there. Okay, so we got the dressing. Dressing goes first. Now, this is generally where you put in your protein source. I kind of have enough eggs here for 2 salads, so I'm just going to use half of this. I'll plop them in there. If you're not on the plan, you're on step 3, you're more than welcome to add some cheese to it. Also, right about here is if I had some extra cut vegetables, peppers, onions, cucumbers, whatever really strikes your fancy, this is the part where you would put it in. And of course, if you're not on the plan, you can also put some tomatoes and whatnot. Towards the rest of the filling, you kind of just stuff in the lettuce or the greens, whatever it is that you actually have already cut up. And you want to make sure to get it as full as possible, so kind of like squish it down there. It just keeps it fresher when you keep it completely full. Okay, so we'll do it like that. And you put the top on it, and you have your lovely salad in a jar. And generally I'll make up about, in a given day, probably 3 to 5, one for each day. That way I just take it out of the fridge when I'm ready to go. You shake it up, and you have to really shake this guy up good, just to make sure it all blends well. Okay, just like that. And you just gotta pour it out. And it's all there for you. And of course take a fork and, mix it up a little bit more on the plate. But this kind of shows you how to be able to have a salad, quick, convenient, one day, probably like an hour to make up 4 or 5 of them, and it really helped me out. So hopefully this helps you guys out. As always, have a slimmer, healthier you.